to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, chef. This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. And we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
I'm Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer again. Baumhauer's Victory Grill is extremely proud to have recently received numerous awards, including being voted best wings in the state of Alabama. Other awards received include Best All-Around Restaurant, Best American Restaurant, #1 Sports Bar, Best Chef, Best Wings, and Best Dining Experience. Thank you for 43 legendary years, and we look forward to providing you an award-winning dining experience at every visit. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Rocket City, for air that's cool and clean, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get HVAC smart with Professor Green and the expert team at sensagreen.com. Now offering up to $1,500 off any new Bryan system. Whatever it takes, Sensa Green has Huntsville covered. Remember, folks, with innovative, sensible green solutions, contact Sensa Green Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we're back. We're live. We're brand new. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Welcome in to a Friday edition show. We've got you for the next 2 hours. 256-576-4977. You can join us on the phone lines throughout the morning. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed on this Friday. And we set the table for you what was an exciting and thrilling evening in both Florence and Nashville. A little slippery there in Nashville. But We're talking
UNA's night. I can tell you that.
Yeah, we're talking about the A-Sun Conference semifinals. And here is how the table was set for yesterday. UNA playing host to Jacksonville, Lipscomb playing host to Queens. Now, the situation is Queens is making the transition from Division II to Division I. We've seen this happen before. Remember Bellarmine a couple years ago won the conference title. They were not able to go, but I believe it was Jacksonville State that was the benefactor of that, and that's how they got in to one of their NCAA tournament appearances. But the same situation was unfolding last night in the A-Sun. If UNA would get a win over Jacksonville and Queens would upset Lipscomb, then UNA would automatically head to the big dance without having to win on Sunday. So UNA last night does their part. They go out, they knock off Jacksonville 78-63 in the win. I'm trying to see here what Jakari Lane had last night.
Yeah, it was a situation. I knew UNA had been up by 12. I was over at Baumhauer's doing the drive, and I think it was 35-23 at halftime. So UNA was in control of the game pretty much throughout. Yeah. And then
Tate Fields had 10 points, 9 boards. He was in foul trouble in the second half.
Jakari had 19 and 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 38 minutes on the floor. He once again brought it, and Ortiz followed him up with 18. You just mentioned Tay. Yep. Tay ended up with almost a double-double, had 10 points, 9 boards, and played well again. So UNA gets the win, and UNA was in this position that Queens is in a few years ago. They got to the conference championship game, did not win it, but wouldn't have been eligible.
Right.
And so we've seen this before, and so UNA now fully eligible, and they'll play Lipscomb. Lipscomb had to
grind it out last night. That was the thing. So
75 in overtime.
So they put the game on there inside CBS Bank Arena last night.
Right.
And so a lot of the fans, it was a packed house over there at the bank.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And so majority of the fans stayed last night inside there. They put the game up on the big screens there in Florence, and Queens led pretty much a lot of this ball game. Lipscomb gets it into overtime, and they outscore Queens 14-8 in the extra frame. And Lipscomb does indeed prevail, as you mentioned, 81-75. So that will set up what most anticipated happening, Lipscomb and North Alabama for the A-Sun Championship on Sunday at 1 o'clock. You can catch the game on ESPN2, as well as, I believe, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We will have that game for you on Sunday. So,
and are you guys carrying the broadcast? Because y'all will hopefully be at.
No, we don't. So this is Westwood One. So Westwood One will have it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're going to carry what would be considered the national broadcast.
Right, but we'll have the game for 97.7 ESPN. We'll have the game for you on Sunday.
Westwood One now and the March Madness, so we get a chance to carry a lot of these conference championship games, and that's going to be really cool. And the vets kind of carried Lipscomb last night. Jacob Ognjanovic, who's the player of the year, he ends up with a double-double, 21 and 12. Joe Anderson, Lenny Acuff talking about him a couple weeks ago. What a vet he is, and maybe one of he and Jakari Lane arguably could be the two best point guards in the A-Sun. He ends up with a game-high 25. Wes Pruitt, who's probably paying Social Security, I mean, he had 12. And think about this, those three guys barely sat on the bench at all. I mean, Ognjanovic played 42 minutes of the 45, and then you look down here, and Joe Anderson and Pruitt played 45 minutes, never came off the floor for Lenny Acuff, was able to stay in the game. And that's key. I mean, they've got an older team that's very experienced that Coach Acuff has built and been able to get guys to stay. And that's huge on the mid-major level. So this is going to be a heavyweight matchup, man. I mean, hats off to Queens. I mean, they nearly pulled it off and led for much of the game. But, I thought Lenny and those guys would be tough at home, and they found a way to get it done. I'm sure it was a really good crowd over at Allen Arena. And now UNA and it'll be the tiebreaker here. They split during the regular season. So winner goes to March Madness. The loser goes to the NIT. So they're both going to go to the postseason. But for one of these two programs, there's going to be a huge step for either Tony Pujol or Lenny Acuff getting to the big dance, man.
Yep.
It's the biggest stage in college basketball. And I've always envisioned that Lenny Acuff could do this and at this level. And then Tony Pujol, I mean, total credit to him. It's just been I think getting Jakari Lane and Tay Fields has been huge, of course, but he's just methodically built it, and they've gotten better every year. And now, they have their chance. I mean, if it wasn't for a small tiebreaker, they might have even had it at the bank over there in Florence, and it would have been a crazy crowd. But I'm sure a lot of the UNA folks will, to be honest with you, I mean, Lenny, their building is bigger. And when we talked to him that night, he said, we're going to have a good crowd. This may be a sellout, man, because it's really not that long a road trip for most UNA folks.
I mean, you're looking at 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just right up the road.
To try to watch something where it could be historic. I mean, don't get me wrong. We understand that when Lipscomb was an NAIA program, they won a national championship, and UNA won a Division II title, but this is a big deal. I mean, this is the biggest stage in college basketball. So really excited to be able to carry the game here on 97.7 The Zone and have a chance to watch and see who's going to, punch their ticket, man.
The last conference championship that UNA won was in 2014 when they won the Gulf South Conference championship.
Now, did they win the regular season or the tournament?
That was the tournament championship.
So in the GSC, they recognize the tournament champion as I know they recognize UAH as the regular season, but do you get
they have
for both?
Well, so UAH,
right?
The year we won, see here, 2 years ago, UAH. So when John Schulman was there, they won the regular, they won the tournament, and then they won the regular season one year. So we got rings for the tournament, but then we also got rings just for winning the regular season.
So you got two separate rings.
But there's 2 different years. So I mean, Schulman was under the belief that anytime you win a championship, whether it be a regular season or a tournament, you get rings for that. UAH didn't win bowl. I mean, they don't think they ever won under Schulman. They never won the regular season and the tournament. I don't think.
Okay, I thought they did that 2 or 3 years ago.
The regular season and the tournament, maybe they did.
I thought that's what we were talking about because that's why I was wondering because
his first year there they won the tournament title, not the regular season, and then there was another year where they won the regular season. Okay, you're right, and then they won. I'm losing track.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because back in the day they do it differently now, but Wimp Sanderson was on the drive last night and. They were reminiscing about in the early 80s where Kentucky got to host the SEC tournament because, I mean, they're Kentucky and they used to move it or they used to move the host site around every year, like Orlando, different places, Birmingham. They would have different locations. It wasn't like it is now where most of the time it's in Nashville every year. They moved it around and they let it be on a campus site. And Alabama, beat Kentucky in their SEC tournament championship game, 48-46. And as Wimp said, back in those days, your champion was the tournament. They didn't recognize the regular season. So Alabama got rings for, winning the SEC tournament that year. But they've changed it now. You get rings for SEC
regular season and
you get SEC tournament. So I was wondering if the Gulf South Conference was the same way because I certainly saw the graphic and we know UAH went undefeated and won the regular season championship and they're the 1 seed. But sometimes at least on paper they'll only recognize one of them. But I'm like yourself. I think both of them should be recognized, even though on the Division II level you can kind of understand because. But it is they have it's easier now though. Back in the day, I think a lot of times it was you'd only go to the postseason probably winning the tournament. Now 3 or
it was a
4
little harder to
teams.
get in because there was only 30. There wasn't
Well,
as many teams.
And I'm talking about on the Division II level as well. Yeah. Now, even on the Division II level from the GSC, let's say, for example, if you're in the top 8 of the region standings, you can get 3. 3 teams can get in and go to Nova or whatever. So I can understand why they would recognize both. I mean, because right now, UAH, of course, they want to pull both off. I certainly would, going undefeated this long. But right. UAH, I don't know that they're a lock for the 2 seed behind Nova, but I would think they're close to it anyway because of their record and things of that nature. I haven't checked the region standings, but UAH has been a solid 2, I'm sure, all year behind Nova. And so there you go. I mean, they're probably going to have to travel to Nova. Nova will host, and so even if Nova got upset, I mean, I guess that could be the only thing that could go in UAH's favor. I would
it's pretty much a lock now it's pretty much a lock that
Nova would host.
Nova's going to host on the men's side.
Yeah.
And it looks like Union is going to host on the women's side.
So the thing is, I would think and I think Nova will be a heavy favorite. I think UAH is a heavy favorite, but even if both of them, one or two of them were to stumble, I think they're still going to be the 1 and 2 seeds in the region because they have enough equity built up. And I mean, and because UAH has already beat Valdosta twice, for example, and Montevallo, even though, Ant's squad is really improved and gotten better and was, I think, preseason number 9 pick in the league. And they're very likely going to punch their ticket now because they beat Valdosta on the road late and then they won their Super Tuesday.
Yeah, they got that win over. Yep, they got the win on Tuesday. And they were 6th, I believe, going into that. And in the last South rankings, Montevallo was 6. That's a good spot to be in those Division II rankings. You don't want to be 7 and you don't want to be 8.
Hey, man, I'd rather just see UAH and Montevallo play at Birmingham anyways, like beat Valdosta Ant. So then we just have an all-Alabama final. I think there'd be an even bigger crowd. Valdosta would probably bring a pack of peanuts.
They don't travel too bad. Valdosta doesn't travel too bad. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. I tell you what, 7:13. Let's get our first break in. When we come back, we'll go out to the phone lines and talk some NCAA basketball as well.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck right at the end of the Greenbrier ramp coming off 565 westbound. Traffic's going around it on the right, so it's going to be a slowdown for you if you're headed westbound for the next few minutes. Everything else looks good. I don't see any other problems. Have you tried numerous weight loss plans and nothing seems to work? Your hormones could be the problem. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title. Because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal, and we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beebs likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of iconic casinos, world-class shows, dining and entertainment. Las Vegas. With flights starting as low as just $79, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Las Vegas. Book nonstop to Las Vegas now at flybreeze.com.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well, try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials for you to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
Listen to UAH Charger basketball all season long.
So when we came out of the timeout, Coach Hedge had initially called a man play, and they ended up faking a zone. So the whole bench was yelling zone, zone, zone. So we tried to switch the play last second. We ended up getting confused. So Tommy swung it to me, and I initially was like, all right, I'm going to try and get to the rim right here. We're only down 2. We don't need a 3. And he flipped his hips real hard, and I tossed it back, and as soon as I let it go, I knew it was in.
Campbell to plug it in. 81-79 Union. Inbounds it goes. Dribbling it out from Tommy Murs. Swings it over to Campbell. Campbell on the wing for the lead. Blake Campbell. It's a 3. Into the front court for the win. No good. No good. No good. Blake Campbell with some onions from Jackson, Tennessee.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. Want to save some money?
I can take money and I can make it into more money.
Just check out our zone deals online at 977ESPN.com. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Nibbling on sponge cake. There we go. You know what? That gets me in the mood for SEC spring meetings. Make sure you have your bathing suit ready, because we going to the beach, brother. Anyway, 256-576-4977. It's the number of the phone lines. You can join us. We're going to get you ready for what will be another busy weekend of SEC basketball. And I know it's silly, but there are people, because of SEC fatigue, and it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it happens in football, and I believe now it's happening in basketball, because there are those that are questioning whether or not, and I say those, it's a minority, but it is among some of the national media people,
right,
that they're starting to debate whether or not Duke or Auburn should be the overall number 1 seed, only because, and I say that slightly, but it's only because Duke has jumped Auburn in the Ken Palm rankings to number 1. And
so is that why that Mr. Ken Palm is saying the SEC is overrated?
There could be something to that, because Duke is number 1 now, Auburn is number 2, and there are people now listing resumes. There are basketball, and some of them aren't even experts, but there are basketball pundits.
Most of them are plumbers
that are now starting to compare the resumes between Duke and Auburn to justify.
I know the one thing you can say is Duke, and I'm wearing Duke gear today, but I'm also going to stand up for Auburn in the SEC. Duke beat Auburn 84-78 in Cameron.
Right.
That is one thing you can say head to head. But then when you look at the total resume and look who each team beat in the sad sack ACC, the tiebreaker and the trump card. We're going to say it for the 50th time for Danny Dumbass and some of these other idiots out there and plumbers, is that South Carolina beat Clemson at Clemson. Okay. That's basically one of your two worst teams in the SEC. For most of the year, South Carolina has been dead last.
Right.
They beat Clemson. The ACC, SUCKS. They suck.
So
sucks.
The reason why they are comparing now is because both of them are identical at 27-3.
Whatever.
Duke is 9-1 on the road. Auburn is 8-2 on the road.
I'll give you another comparison. Who did Kentucky beat?
Where are we going? Who?
Duke.
Okay.
What did Auburn do to Kentucky in Rupp Arena?
Embarrassed them.
They burned it to the ground.
And that's where Auburn has 15 quad one wins. They're 15-3 in quad
Duke has
one.
6, I think.
Duke is 6-3 in quad one.
And
wins.
Auburn has 15. So how is this even a conversation?
I don't know, but it's only because
Duke stuff from head to toe.
And it's only because Duke has moved up to that number one spot in Ken Palm. I know.
Ken Palm. What does his rankings mean? I don't even know. I've never met the guy. Who knows? This guy can come up with a damn ranking. Who cares? I mean, how did they create this quad one stuff? But this is what the hell they used to
yes.
you know, I think
that's the NCAA.
The
NCAA.
Because they own this tournament. They ain't got a damn thing to do with football, but they own the basketball. So if this quad one stuff is put together by the NCAA, and that's their biggest, tool to evaluate resumes, then this is not a conversation.
Yes, because majority of Duke's wins have come against quad 3 teams. They are 11-0 in quad 3 games. Auburn is only 2-0. Auburn's only played 2 quad 3 games. They've played 18 quad 1 games this year.
You could basically say the ACCs, you just call them quad 3.
Yes, that's
what they are. They stink. I mean, come on.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Pat from Tuscaloosa is with us. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Hey, man, Auburn doesn't wear enough blue. Y'all got to understand that. They only like teams that wear blue. Does that make sense?
I mean, I guess, but like I say, you can't. And we got a message from Jimmy Lay. He thinks, that Duke would destroy Kentucky now, but Kentucky was healthy back then too. And I think it would have been a better game in Rupp Arena against Auburn if they had been totally healthy with the Jackson Robinson. But the bottom line is, do I still think that Kentucky would have won? Hell no. Unless they paid Auburn off. They were good at paying people off.
Yeah. You got people down here, guys, that are saying that, talk about the Alabama quarterback situation, that they just want the best quarterback to play. If Ty doesn't win the quarterback job, Alabama's in a world of crap. People don't understand how hard is it going to be to go out and get a serviceable quarterback that doesn't want to play, that can win. Oh my God! What are they thinking? Is what I want to know. Tell me about it.
God, why are people falling off the ledge in spring?
I mean, I heard he had a good second practice, took a big leap. So I'm not even, to be honest with you, I'm focusing on spring football about as much right now as I would comparing Auburn and Duke's resumes, because you really don't know.
I know you're a big basketball guy.
I'm following spring football, but I'm not even really.
Yes.
I'm gonna, once there's going to be, when the scrimmages come up is what I'm waiting on, because right now they're just basically practicing against air. They're not really doing a whole lot.
No.
So
they've only had 2 practices
oh
in
my
spring.
God, he threaded the needle 3 times or whatever. It's just like right now it doesn't mean as much.
Look, and because Keelan Russell he's only had 2 practices in college.
I mean,
2 spring practices.
I think Ty is definitely in the lead. There's no question. So I'm not even worried about it. I think Keelan understands that he's going to compete.
Yes.
And I think that there's a good chance he could pass up Austin Mack quickly. And I like Austin Mack, but Keelan's a special talent. But again, I think the coaches will know how to handle in this situation and know how to manage it. They managed it already when Ty had to sit behind Nuke LaLoosh for 2 years, and he stayed because I thought Ty would beat out Nuke last year, and he did not. Or excuse me, 2 years ago. Pardon me. I thought he would win the job when he was a redshirt freshman. Didn't happen. Now he's graduated and he's a redshirt junior, hopefully matured. So he's got a golden opportunity. That's another reason why I'm not as focused on it, because I think he's ready this time. Now I think Keelan's going to give him a run for his money, because I think, and I've already predicted Keelan would even start the first game, and probably not. I've backed off that a little bit, but I think it's going to be a three-man race. But I think that the two favorites by far to me are Keelan Russell and Ty. And I think Ty is definitely the leader because he's been there. So I'm actually not worried about quarterback. I think it's more people just with anxiety because they had to watch Nuke miss wide open people and have the pocket presence of a brick. And, he didn't want to willingly run unless they called a run. People were more concerned because Alabama didn't play as well last year as people had hoped. They didn't make the playoff, didn't win the SEC, because last year, I don't think anyone going into the season, I certainly was a little worried because it ended up being justified because, Jalen didn't fit in their offense. But most people were not worried at all because of the way Alabama had finished the season the year before.
Right.
So people were just assuming they'd make the playoff. Now that they didn't, people have anxiety. They're worried about what happened with Ty a couple years ago. And then they're worried, okay, if things go the way they did a couple years ago, Alabama had to go get Tyler Buckner after spring. That didn't work out. Where would Alabama turn this time? I actually think the coaching staff is pretty pleased, or really, really pleased where things are. And I think they like the three QBs they've got. I think Austin Mack is a kid too that is don't forget he reclassified. He's young and he's been in college football 2 years. But I think he also trusts this coaching staff. I think there is a lot of the guys that stayed in this program, the ones that didn't bail out and go into the portal. I think they trust these coaches. So that's why I don't have anxiety. I think they know what they're doing. I think they're going to develop.
You think they're in a good spot?
Yeah,
they like what they have.
I'm not, to be honest with you, everybody knows where my anxiety lies with Alabama football. It starts with an F and ends with an H.
Right.
Everybody understands.
Right.
What the move that I thought should have been made. I mean, I've already read some practice reports where the DL looks good. Well, are they going to play good? Because they half the time they act like they're not interested. So I don't know.
Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
Something of that nature. So that's where I'm more concerned with. I think the quarterback situation, Kalen DeBoer, now that he's got Ryan Grubb back, especially when you get Ryan Grubb back, you got Kalen DeBoer, you kept Nick Sheridan. I think this offensive brain trust is going to be really good. I think they're going to be much better. I think the wide receiver core is going to be much better, which is going to help the quarterback. And I'm more concerned with the defensive line and playing winning football there.
Okay, no concerns with the offensive line because my issues are Proctor not being healthy.
Yeah, I mean he's not healthy right now, but he showed a lot of toughness playing with a torn labrum, and he's gonna practice, but just not take a lot of contact. So I think the offensive line is going to be fine.
And keep in mind too, though, we're only 3 months removed. A little less than 3 months removed from the season.
Right.
And a lot of these guys finish the year, and it's the same way with a lot of college football teams. They finish the year with guys that are just banged up and they're playing hurt. They're playing through it. They're getting shots. They're going through it. Yes. Yeah. And so now you get into spring football. Well, guess what? Trainers say, you know what? The medical staff say you need a few months to rehab and rest, and you need to do it. We're less than 3 months. I think that's Caden Proctor's situation is, look, you need to rest. We don't need you right now in spring. We'd love to have you, but you're better served getting rehab and resting right now.
Look at Auburn, the way they're condensing their spring.
Yes.
I mean, they're basically doing it in 3 weeks. I mean,
to get through it,
March 25th to April 12th. And so
give guys a little extra rest
they're not
time.
Taking spring break, and they're not going to practice over spring break. They're just boom,
They're doing it.
So,
yeah. So
Hey,
don't
guys, have a blessed day, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Yeah, I don't look.
No, I mean, I'm just not stressing over it. I think Pat's reading things, and some people are stressing over it. And if they watch these 5-minute videos, and if somebody drops the ball or if you make a bad throw, they start having Milrow disease. They get scared to death.
Or if you see one quarterback in the video throw more than the other one, you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, he's going to be
played
no."
so well, but I mean, it's
not.
just the scrimmages are what you need to have your ear to the ground about. How do they look in those type situations? And you know, and there's been some early buzz, but I don't get all worked up about it. And I am thankful Milroe's gone, though. Good luck to him in the draft process. I hope he gets drafted and can get developed by somebody. But you better have a 3 or 4 year plan, because that's how long it's going to take to even see if he's worth 10
nickels.
Whatever. I could say something else, but I get fined by the FCC.
Oh, you wouldn't get fined.
Well, I don't want to get us fined.
Let's get a break in. I know. Let's get a break in. We'll flip it back to some basketball conversation and some more football. We'll just kind of weave them together. Coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
HPD still working a wreck right at the end of the ramp coming off westbound 565 to Greenbrier. Traffic is passing that wreck on the right. They may have to have a wrecker there. They haven't moved the vehicles yet, so I'm thinking that may be the case. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. Ask about their military, law enforcement, and senior discounts. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA Hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Pieces of my sweet shattered dream.
Well,
that's what
the old Shattered Dreams.
Well, luckily UNA gets a mulligan on that because I know there was a lot of them that were just like on the edge of their seats last night.
No,
because if Lipscomb loses, no matter what,
you're already in the tournament.
Going.
Yeah. Well,
but,
look.
Still, they
so
got a
Shattered
great
Dreams. Shattered Dreams.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think there's 7 teams out there right now in America.
Right.
That could easily have some shattered dreams in the next 24, 48 hours, possibly because of their outcomes tomorrow, and then maybe their outcomes in their conference tournaments. Boise State, Nebraska, Ohio State, Texas, North Carolina, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Those are the teams that I think could have shattered dreams very, very soon.
Well,
very soon.
I think only one of the 3, and I'm talking about that because I think Georgia is in a really strong position now.
Yes, I didn't put Georgia in that mix because I feel Georgia's in.
Themselves in a bad spot because I was nervous. I thought, oh man, what if they do the Arkansas? What if they go over there to Columbia and play a turd and get beat? But I was like, they won by 11, so I'm like, okay, huge win, huge. They went on the road. If they just win this game at home. If they can get this done, if they can win their finale in the SEC, I think Georgia's, no matter what happens in Nashville, I think they're
yes, I think Georgia has secured themselves.
So what I mean is now I think it's down to 3, and I mean I know you're looking at some other schools too, but I'm looking at these 3 in the SEC:
Arkansas,
Oklahoma, and Texas. Oklahoma and Texas play each other, which means it could get down to 2. But I really only think one of the 3 is going to go, and what I mean by that is, even if Oklahoma beats Texas on the road, and I'm not sure they will.
Right.
I think Oklahoma and Texas, one of the 2. I think whoever wins that game, I think you still got to win a game in Nashville, which ain't going to be easy.
Would you like to take a guess at Oklahoma's road record right now? I guess this is this is their road record right now. Going into this game on Saturday.
Not good. It's got to be 1 or 2 for
1-7.
That's what I thought. So that's why I'm a little. I mean, right now I think they're 18-12. Or
18-12,
something.
1-7 on the road, and 5-10 in quad 1 games this year.
I don't think they're going to beat Texas, and then Texas is only going to be, I think, 18-13 or 18-14, something like that.
Yeah, they're 17-13 going into their game on Saturday.
So that would make, if Texas wins at home, which is what I'm expecting.
Okay.
That'll make both of them 18-13 going to Nashville. And I think, to me, I think both of them would have to win 1, if not 2 games in Nashville to get in. I just think if Arkansas doesn't lay a turd, now if Arkansas loses to Mississippi State in Bud Walton Arena, then you're going to have 3 going to Nashville that may have to win a game or 2.
Arkansas, if they would lose that game, they would head to the Music City 18-13.
Yeah. Now, if they win it, I think they're in, and it'll cancel out the turd at South Carolina. They'll be 19-12.
Yep.
It would be kind of like when Alabama laid their turd 3 years ago. They went to Georgia and were the only team to let sad sack Georgia beat them, and yet they still ended up a 6 seed. Played Notre Dame. We all know what happened. JQ tried to go into the rack. He tore his ACL. Everybody knew it as soon as it happened. And you knew it was going to be toilet, and they were going to lose the game, lose their final 5 or 6, and go home. So, but again, I just think overall, I think right now they definitely are going to get at least 11 in, but we'll see if they get 12 or 13. I think 11 would tie the record. Certainly, I would like them to break it just so Danny Cannell would have to swallow manure. But, I mean, I still think and I think they have a good chance to get 12.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But Arkansas needs to win in Bud Walton Arena because Mississippi State has down the stretch been, and so Arkansas, they played them. I didn't think they were going to beat Vanderbilt. Okay. I thought they'd go to Nashville, lay a turd. And even if they beat, Mississippi State at home, I was like, they're still going to have to do some damage in Nashville. But if they get both of those wins headed to Nashville, and with John Calipari being John Calipari, I think that Arkansas will get in. because you can't tell me because I think that would make them 8-10 in the SEC. If Georgia and Arkansas are 8-10 in the best league in the country, that's not like being in the ACC. That should get you in.
So let me give you this team's resume right here.
You're giving me other resumes.
20-11.
Yeah.
6-6 on the road.
Right.
And 1-10 in quad one games this year, but yet their net rating is 38.
I'm going to guess this team, Wake Forest.
North Carolina.
They've got to beat Duke. They've got to beat Duke. If they beat Duke, they'll get in. But hopefully Duke will beat them by 25 points in the Dean Bowl. That's why I'm wearing this right now. Hopefully they'll go piss down their throat and end this whole charade and make them go to the NIT, which Hubert probably won't even do because they'll decide to
too much of an embarrassment.
Well, they'll let Tanner go to work and they'll start working the portal, trying to improve their roster. Because actually, to give North Carolina credit, I know part of it is because the league sucks, but North Carolina has improved. Okay, they've turned it around a little bit because at one time I think they were about 10-10, 9-10, something. They were terrible. I mean, it was awful. And Duke, basically, it looked like a scrimmage in Cameron. I mean, they won by 17, but they were up by 30. I mean, it wasn't even a game. So.
They're fourth in the ACC now is North Carolina.
That's what I'm saying.
They're 13-6 in the – that just tells you, though, how bad the conference is. That tells you how bad the conference is when they're 13-6, but yet they're 1-10 in quad one games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So right now, Duke is runaway train number 1. Clemson is number 2, right? And then Louisville 3?
Duke is 1. Clemson is 2.
Yeah.
Well, Clemson and Louisville are tied at 17-2 in conference mark. And then SMU is 13-6 as well.
Oh, that's it. Get out of here with that. They've already got thrown one bone in the football playoff. They're not going. Hell with them, man. They're going to have to win the ACC tournament. Give me a break.
Yes, Joe Lenardi has them as the next 4 out, by the way.
SMU?
Yeah.
Oh, not the first 4, but the
next 4 out, yes.
Piss on them. They're not going to do anything.
Let's get Richard in real fast on the phone lines. Good morning, Richard.
Hey, morning, guys. One thing on Georgia, too. Georgia beat St. John's.
There you go.
Oh, that's right.
Another one. There you go, Richard.
That's a huge feather in their cap.
I don't think anybody in the SEC beat St. John's.
One thing on Georgia, I saw that basically no team had ever gotten in as an at-large with more than, you had to have more than one road win, and Georgia picked up 2 more in this last week. So they have 3 now.
Yeah, so I just think, and trust me, I've been up and down. I thought Texas at one time would make it. Then they started tanking.
Yeah.
So I just think it's going to be Georgia, and then if you had to ask me, I'd say Arkansas.
Yeah, Georgia's 19-11 right now, 3-7 is Richard. They got 3-7 on the road. They're 4-10 in quad one games. But here's the good thing for Georgia: they don't have any of those bad quad 3 and quad 4 losses that hurt teams at this time of year.
And then if they can get the win Saturday at home, it will be against a NCAA tournament team in Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
right.
Vandy.
So that to me,
one thing,
and they
one
beat
thing
Florida
on
lately.
KenPom.
That's what they beat Florida in the last month.
Yep. One thing on KenPom, it's all math formulas, but the formulas are based upon who you're playing.
Yes.
So there is, but the main thing on Auburn, and I'm an Alabama guy, but I mean, Auburn may have the first or second best strength of schedule in the nation. And so they've done their record against the best.
Yeah.
I mean, they went out to Maui and won the thing. You drilled Purdue and Birmingham, and you've gone through the SEC with only, 2 losses out. I mean, it's not even comparable. And one thing, in KenPom, I mean, like last year, the number 1 team in KenPom was UConn. So,
yes,
so they usually, pretty close to picking the top teams. But last year, like no one in 20-something years, I think, had made the Final Four with a defensive rating, above 20. Alabama did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, there's always that outlier to their rankings.
Well, no, actually, there's not. I mean, that's the thing is usually the KenPom, I'm just saying it's not a perfect rating system. It's kind of my point.
Right.
Out because usually there isn't an outlier. Usually you have to be in the top 20 to make the Final Four.
Yes.
But
so the number this year that everybody's saying is like the overall net rating in KenPom, like usually the national champion is their plus margin needs to be above plus 30. Like they're whatever. And right now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that have above 30. Alabama is like a smidge below that. I mean, they're right on that line. Duke, Auburn, Houston, Florida, Tennessee are the 5 teams that they say that's the field where the national champion could come from, which is more than what we've had in the past. We've not had that many numbers. And then they say you can include Alabama in that because they're like at a plus 29.26. They're right on that margin.
Right.
I know you guys have the Conference USA commissioner on and not really kind of picking on them, but on some of these conferences, I just don't see how they make money having a tournament. And then, a lot of times your deserving champ doesn't get to go to the NCAA tournament. I mean, I know Conference USA draws real well where they may make money, but some of these smaller ones, I'm just always surprised. You want somebody that may have a 6-15 record, that gets hot and goes, wins the tournament versus, somebody say like Stanford or something, that's deserving and could win a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's tough. The Millennials told us that so much of mid-major basketball is how you're playing the last 2 to 3 weeks, how healthy you are, and can you get on a roll? Because just because you're the best team in the league the first part of the season, if you hit a snag, you get somebody hurt, or you just happen to plateau a little bit, it can be a disaster because now they've tweaked the NIT rules where if you win the regular season in a lot of these leagues, they've tweaked it again where you're not absolutely locked in to NIT, but you should have a good shot because quite frankly, what I was just saying about North Carolina, if they don't get into the NCAA tournament, a lot of these blue bloods, they're too good for the NIT now. They're more worried about the transfer portal and going and building their roster, and they're not even going to play in the NIT.
The crazy thing is Fox has got their own NIT now.
Okay.
Yeah,
in Las Vegas. I mean, so you got a competing, because I guess who does Fox do? The Big Ten and the Big 12.
Yeah.
But they're having their own.
Yeah, it's sad because you know what, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is that the NIT was the original way to crown basketball champions. That was the original tournament.
Yeah.
And that's how we crowned college basketball champions was in the NIT tournament. And then the NCAA came along and said, you know what, we're going to make our own. And then they superseded the NIT. So
it took a while because a lot of teams would choose the NIT because I think actually Bob Knight in Army, chose the NIT, 1 year, many, many years ago.
No, you're right.
So,
all right, Richard. Thanks for the phone call, bud.
Well, Drew, hope to see you in Nashville, and maybe you will get to see the Yale crew there. Your friend.
I mean, I'm definitely going. I got credentials. And now we know that Bama and Auburn, for that matter, both of them won't play until Friday.
Yep.
So we certainly are going to be following the SEC tournament, from afar when it starts on Wednesday. But we'll be over there when Alabama and Auburn are playing.
And hopefully the Yale crew will be there for you. So that'll make your day.
There you go.
See you later.
Thanks, Richard. All right. And now, according to Ken Palm, as of this morning, Auburn has the number 1 strength of schedule, followed by Alabama, Kentucky, Texas A&M. So the SEC, 4 teams in the top there as far as strength of schedule goes. Let's get that break in. 7:49, wrap up hour 1 next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's got a new wreck coming out of Limestone County, Highway 99 and Chapman Hollow Road. That one's got a utility pole involved. Apparently the pole's broken. They got lines on the ground. That is being reported, though, as a no injury. And I'm not really sure what they're doing. Coming off westbound 565 at Greenbrier, traffic was going by on the right side of that wreck. It's right at the end of the ramp. Now they've blocked that lane off, and they're making you turn right out of the left turn lane. So hopefully hopefully they'll wrap that one up shortly. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down now so you have it in the future. Dr. Randall Burns is at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Atlanta Braves spring training is on from Florida, and this 2025 Brave squad is ready to get after it in Northport.
And he waylays this thing way downtown. Swung on a fly ball, deep left center field, heading towards the gap, that is down for a base hit. Acuna hits the bag at third. Here he comes, Michael Harris, taking no prisoners. It's a sweep.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hey, do you have heating and air issues as the springtime starts to roll around? Hey, there's just one name you need to know. Talent Heating and Air. #1 heating and air business right here in the Tennessee Valley.
Yeah, we're locally based. If you call, you're going to get somebody based in Huntsville. Mentioned in spring earlier, we can actually do indoor air quality products, so we can help alleviate those allergy problems you're having in your house.
All right, Thomas from Talent Heating and Air, give them the number that when they call, somebody live and local will pick up.
That's 256-503-4490.
And you can always head to the World Wide Web and find Talent Heating and Air, and you guys will still respond.
That's talenthvac.com. If you don't want to talk to a person right away, you can fill out a form on there and get scheduled for a visit.
That's Talent Heating and Air. They're live, they're local. It's Talent Heating and Air.
AL certain number 21014.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Welcome back in, talking about 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We were researching during the break.
So I guess the way the AP poll works, I guess. So I'm going by what I'm looking at here right now, okay?
Right.
So back on December 4th, 8th game of the regular season for college basketball, Auburn travels up to Duke. Ranked versus ranked opponent, right?
ACC, SEC challenge.
Yes. Phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Now, going by this schedule that I am looking at on ESPN,
right?
Duke has not faced a ranked opponent since that game.
Not because even Clemson wasn't ranked when they beat them. And when they
Duke has not faced a ranked opponent since the 8th game of the regular season.
You know, that's 3 months ago. Come on. I love Duke, but you can't. I mean,
they're asking our good friend
Seth Greenberg, the John Calipari apologist. I mean, he's going to be excited. It looks like Coach Cal can get in there, but come on. I mean, it's not even a question. I mean, give me a break with this. I mean, Duke is definitely a 1 seed. Okay, I have no problem with that. But their resume is not better than Auburn's, even if they beat Auburn.
So if you look at that resume, then if you look at this resume, do you give credence that, let's say Florida goes out and has an exceptional SEC basketball tournament?
Right.
Let's say they have a great run in the SEC tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Would you put Florida ahead of Duke and move Duke down to a 3 seed?
If Florida wins the SEC tournament and beats Auburn twice, if they're not number 2, somebody should get bitch slapped. Let's say it.
Do they have to win the SEC tournament for that to happen, though?
Probably, yes. Because look,
because Duke, you think is going to win the ACC tournament.
Okay, let's convene it. Unless there's a Clemson or a Louisville or something. Remember last year, NC State won the dang thing. They won 5 games in 5 days, Scott, and then ended up taking that momentum and going to the Final Four. If Duke doesn't win the ACC tournament, which would mean they laid a turd because this is a turd league, then I think if Florida just makes it to Auburn in the SEC tournament finals, then I think Florida should be number 2 overall national seed. Now, if Florida beats Auburn and is 2-0 against Auburn, I still think Auburn's the number 1 national seed. I'm sorry, because Florida did have a few more losses here.
Right.
But I think overall, it would almost be, because I'm anticipating Florida beating Ole Miss, it would only be 1 more loss. Because, and in all actuality, let me correct myself, because you have to remember Auburn lost to A&M. You can make a small argument, in my opinion, a small one, that Florida could be the number 1 overall national seed, only because when you think about it rationally, they would have beaten Auburn twice, and not even playing either one of them at home. They would have beaten them at Auburn and on a neutral floor. And then they'd both have 4 losses, Scott, overall on their resumes. So I still think, though, here's the tiebreaker for me, though. I know head-to-head has to matter, but Auburn has played a tougher schedule than Florida, okay, overall out of conference.
Right.
So I would still edge Auburn out as the number 1 overall national seed, and then I would have Florida number 2, and then Duke number 3, and Houston very likely number 4, because I'm expecting Houston to win the Big 12. Even though I think it's going to be harder for Houston to win the Big 12 tournament than it is to play the sad sack ACC tournament. I mean, if Duke doesn't win the ACC tournament, there should be an investigation. I mean, I don't really think – I think Louisville's much improved under Pat Kelsey, but give me a break about Duke.
Right.
Clemson beat Duke once at Clemson, but I think Duke would beat them on a neutral floor. I mean, they've got Cooper Flagg, who's one of the 2 best players in the country. Come on. I just think Duke should win that. And it's in Charlotte, for crying out loud.
In Charlotte. All right. Hour 1 is done. When we come back, get your nachos ready, your mozzarella sticks ready. Get them all ready and fired up, because we're going to dip them in some Uncle Keith's red sauce. Bryan Mathews on the horizon.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. AI-powered betting models to help you make sharper picks during March Madness. Free 7-day trial available now at rhythm.com. That's RITHMM.com.
Top-ranked Auburn looks to bounce back from their 83-72 loss to Texas A&M earlier this week as they host number 7 Alabama tomorrow. The Tigers are the 8.5-point favorite. Total 177.5. Top 25 college basketball today. It's the Memphis Tigers. They are at home against South Florida, laying 13.5 points. At number 18, Purdue, a 4.5-point road dog at Illinois, 159.5 the total. NASCAR Sunday, Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix. Christopher Bell, the 5-1 favorite. A win there would make it 3 in a row to start the season for Bell. Justin Allgaier plus 350 to win tomorrow's Xfinity Series race. For more, go to VSIN.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Indeed, a big thank you to Sportsman Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They're dedicated to providing that care that improves lives. 256-881-5151. Just give them a ring. They can help you out. They're the official medical providers for the Rocket City Trash Pandas. If the pros trust them, why can't you trust them? They're also the official training providers for the UAH Chargers, or medical providers, I should say, for the UAH Chargers. So it's Sportsman Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improves lives. Improving lives. I was talking about Sportsman Orthopedic.
I know, but I was going to say, speaking of rings, I thought that was a great segue there. I mean, either UNA or Lipscomb is going to get a ring for winning this tournament on Sunday. Auburn's going to get rings. They won the regular season SEC championship, so it's ring season, and we're going to talk about that and more with our next guest. Since 2001, he's covered the Auburn Tigers. He is with AuburnSports.com, part of the Rivals Network. He will be there in Neville Arena. With Alabama and Auburn rekindling this rivalry. Auburn coming off of a rare loss to Texas A&M. The big question will be Denver Jones. Are they going to play him? Are they going to rest him for Nashville? Because with Auburn clinching the double bye, they will be off nearly a week after Saturday. But this is a huge day because it's senior day for a very special Auburn team that's really been the best in college basketball this entire season. And then we'll even probably hit on a little Auburn baseball, because I'm going to tell you what, Butch Thompson's team is playing good. But Bryan Mathews is going to join us here on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Bryan, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing
good. Good seeing you again.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Always good seeing y'all.
Yeah, he's joining us via Zoom. Sounds great. Well, Bryan, unexpected in a way. I mean, loss in Reed Arena. I really thought Auburn would get it done, even if Denver sat out, because I remember you told us last week you had a suspicion that Denver wouldn't play. And we talked to Nathan King about that too earlier this week. But I was a little surprised. But again, look, Auburn's got a lot of equity in the deal. And like Nathan told us, and who would have thought, as tough as this league is, but I think it begs to how good Auburn is that they were going to have this conference wrapped up with a week to go.
Yeah, it's been impressive what Auburn's done. And I think, when it comes to NCAA seeding and all that, they're going to look at this resume, and it's going to be hard not to give Auburn number one overall. Just listening to y'all before I came on, I think Denver will probably play against Alabama. He was real close to playing against Texas A&M. Yeah. He went through warm-ups, just didn't feel like he was quite pushing off on that ankle. It's just a bruise, so I don't think it's something that they're concerned about long-term. So I think this is a really important game for Auburn coming off a loss. I think Bruce Pearl wants his team to respond and play better. I think he's disappointed the way they were out physical against Texas A&M, and that's something that he's going to work with his team on this week.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You look at that Texas A&M game, Bryan, and there are some games on the schedule that are just, you look at it, they number one, they come at a bad spot. They're bad matchups. I think the Texas A&M game was a little bit of everything, not to make an excuse for how Auburn played, but I think it was just the way when it happened, coming off that SEC regular season clincher. You go on the road. Buzz Williams teams are awfully, awfully tough. Bruce Pearl, they just don't line up well. I think it was a combination of things.
Yeah, and Auburn Pearl is 2-6 against A&M in the last 8 games, going back to I think about 4 or 5 years there. So it's always been a matchup issue, the way they play. They're always big, they're always physical, they always crash the boards, and that's given Auburn problems. And it definitely gave Auburn problems, this week. So we'll see how matchups go once we get in the tournament. I don't know what other teams in the country play like A&M. But A&M is certainly not a team that Auburn wants to run into in the NCAA tournament right now. They're certainly going to have to play a lot better to beat a team with that type of system in regards. But, Auburn's done a lot of things impressive this year. So, I'm not saying they can't do something. They've done anything that that people have said Auburn can't do, they've pretty much done all season. So this is a really good team. Excited about covering them in the postseason, see what they could do. But of course, there's a big game. Got to get done Saturday first.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, I'm not sure which Alabama team's going to show up. I thought they had, even in a loss, I thought they had turned the corner at Tennessee. I thought they played with physicality. I thought they really outplayed Tennessee for over 39 minutes. They should have won the game. I thought they were rounding into form, and then I thought they could beat Florida at home. I knew the Auburn game was going to be very, very tough to win, but I still thought they could give themselves a shot. But they didn't finish Tennessee. It was almost like they had a little bit of a hangover against Florida. They didn't play terribly against Florida, but again, it was I didn't think the intensity was there, the edge. They lose a 99-94 game. So I honestly don't know what to expect, because I do expect Auburn to play well, because I'm completely with you, Brian. Seeing the way that A&M game ended, what Bruce Pearl said after the game, knowing that I would expect Denver back. I think Auburn, and again, it's senior day for a very special group of players. Right. It's the Iron Bowl of basketball, so they're going to be excited. It's the last game in Neville. I expect Auburn to play at a fever pitch and get some momentum going into Nashville. I really don't know what to expect out of Alabama. I do think they'll play harder than they did against Florida, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough to have a chance to beat Auburn in the last 2 minutes, honestly.
Yeah, and Auburn should have a huge crowd there. I believe they're going to cut down the nets and celebrate the SEC championship after the game.
We talked about this already.
Yes.
We talked about this earlier in the show. They're hanging a banner. They're going to get a ring for the regular season. You probably get a separate ring if you win the SEC tournament, but you should absolutely celebrate the SEC regular season title. And we were even talking about, like, Auburn does have a number 1 seed locked up, but I think they're even close to having the number 1 overall seed. We let off the show talking about Auburn and Duke, and I know Duke won, but you can't even compare the resumes. I don't know why people are. I mean, to me, because the ACC stinks and the SEC is unbelievable. I mean, I don't even know why it's a conversation.
But it is, though.
It should. It's going to be a conversation, and there's always conversations when they're that's part of the deal being in media, right? Especially if you work for ESPN, is creating these conversations, on the national level. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's important for Auburn not to lose out. I think that makes it a much better or more interesting conversation if that was to happen. But I agree with you. The SEC is 10-7. It's amazing to me, because if you go back to when we started our careers, or just 10 years ago, the ACC and the Pac-10 or Pac-12 were the premier.
The Big 12,
and the SEC was maybe 4th or 5th in the country as far as conferences go.
Right.
And over the last 10 to 12 years, it's just completely flipped. And SEC basketball is incredible now. Great players, great coaches, great fans, atmospheres. I mean, it's just incredible the type of basketball we're getting here, when the SEC has been known for decades upon decades for just being a football conference mostly.
Brian, the Auburn Tigers, when they do go to Nashville, they'll come in as the defending SEC tournament champions. They've already got the regular season locked up. We presume the number 1 overall seed. Do you get any indication on how they're going to treat this SEC tournament?
I don't, because Bruce is saying that they're not going to back down. Okay, they're going to keep putting their guys out there, but I just wonder if maybe he'll rotate in Turtle an extra series, or maybe he'll rotate in Ja'Kai or Chris Moore an extra 4 or 5 minutes in a game, and that would add up to maybe taking the starters' minutes down from 30 to 35 minutes to 25 to 30, maybe something like that. But I don't think he's going to admit to that beforehand. I think he wants his team to keep their edge, because he knows how important it is for them not to take a step back at this time of year. They need to be taking a step forward. He talked a lot about that after Kentucky when Miles Kelly went off for 30 points there. How he showed that he had some upside, and how the rest of the team needs to show it has upside going into the postseason.
Well, yeah, I would expect he's won, I think, 2 SEC tournaments since he's been there.
Yep.
So when you have a pattern, Wimp Sanderson had it, then you're always going to try to win it. Okay, to me, once you win it one time, I don't think all of a sudden you do the John Calipari and it doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? And Calipari's won it as well. But I just think you want to keep your edge. And the only thing I could see, like I know, and you can comment on this, Bryan, in the last couple of games, Jonai's had a little bit of a shoulder stinger situation. He's had to come out. I could see them cutting Jonai's minutes down a little bit to make sure that when they go into the bracket in the NCAA tournament, that they have him as close to 100% as possible. In other words, look, we want to win the SEC tournament. We're going to give it our best shot. But if Jonai has any discomfort at all, Dylan Cardwell play more. And then this is where Chaney Johnson comes into the equation even.
Yeah, and Chaney's been slumping a little bit too. So Auburn needs a little bit more consistency out of those guys. You look at Janai, he's down the last 2 games in points, rebounds. But I think what concerns me the most is assists. This guy's been pumping out 4, 5, 6 a game. And I think he's only combined for 3 in the last 2. So some teams are doubling him and trying to really mix it up and guard him tough. But right now they're also taking away his top options, passing out of the post, which is the key to Auburn's offense. This outside offense has been so productive this season, so efficient. So they got to find an answer for that, in my opinion.
Well, then they get Alabama on Saturday, and I tell you, there's this is one of those games where the building is gonna. We all thought this might be the game to decide the SEC championship, but ultimately it's not. It's not going to take away though from this matchup. It's not taking anything away from it. This is still one of the most premier matchups right now in college basketball.
Yeah, I think Alabama's still a top 10 team, right? I believe they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, there haven't been that many top 10 matchups at Neville Arena. I think this will be the second, if I'm not mistaken, in 60, 50 years, something like that. So this is still a really, really big game for Auburn, and maybe it's the third, but it's just crazy how much history has changed just in the last 4 or 5 weeks for Auburn basketball. It's hard to keep up, really. But yes, this should be a great atmosphere. I think everybody, the team, the coaches, the fans, everybody's fired up to finish this season on a high note from the Auburn perspective. And I know Alabama's going to come in trying to fight to find that edge to get back into winning ways to maybe get a punch there at the end to get their postseason going. So I think it's a big game for both teams.
Yeah, and I think Alabama, they're trying to right now. Look, they're not on the one line. And I said this, even if they were to upset Auburn and that would take their best game of the year, they wouldn't be a 1. They would still be on the 2 line. They would have to beat Auburn, in my opinion, and win the SEC tournament at this point. I think they're a solid 2. They don't have any bad losses. I think Auburn is the 1. And I don't even think if Auburn doesn't win the SEC tournament, I still think they're the number 1 overall seed. I don't mean just a 1 seed. I think they're the number 1 overall. We even talked it out, like if Florida were to beat Ole Miss, which I think they will in Gainesville, and then they say Auburn and Florida, like they did last year, playing the SEC tournament championship game in Florida, were to win it. Even if they have the same number of losses and Florida's beat Auburn twice, I still edge Auburn out for number 1 overall, Bryan, simply because of this. I think Auburn played the tougher overall non-conference schedule, and I still think they deserve the number 1 overall national seed. Now, if Auburn were to lose earlier in Nashville and Florida run through it, maybe we're having a different conversation, but I just think overall Auburn is still in a very, very good position.
They are. It helps having all those quad 1 wins,
I think they got more than almost anybody, more than anybody. And maybe if they beat Alabama Saturday and then win 1 or 2 in Nashville, what is it, a record? I think they would have a record for overall quad.
Yeah, I think they need 1 or 2 more to get that record. Kansas got it a few years ago. So, they've got a great resume, but they don't want to just stand on it. They want to go out there and play well and finish this season strong. So we'll see how that goes for Auburn. Got to get Janai Broome going again. Got to get Denver Jones back, and got to get their edge back, I think.
Well, Bryan, speaking of edge, the Auburn baseball team's got a little bit of edge going on with them right now.
Yeah, they did lose to UAB in Birmingham Tuesday night, but overall that ended the 10-game winning streak. I think they're 11-2 going into this final weekend series before SEC play starts the next weekend. Vandy coming to Auburn to open that up. Old Dominion, there's some nice ties there. Chris Fenwood, former Auburn assistant, is the coach there. Jack Slater, Tom Slater's son. Tom Slater was a former Auburn coach. His son plays for ODU, so some nice connections just to keep an eye on. Butch talked about him yesterday, said they got a really strong starting pitching staff that's really going to test them, SEC level starters for them. So that'll be a good tune-up, I think, for Auburn to see how they can get going. They got some things to figure out. The lineup's been producing pretty good. Got 3 freshman starters right now in that, and they got to find some roles on this pitching staff, especially in the back end and the bullpen.
Yeah, but I know they got a huge win over Ohio State where they dominated, who Alabama had to come back from a 10-0 deficit. And then they beat it. I thought it was a really big win when they beat Oregon State, because we know Oregon State's history and of the College World Series titles. Now, I know they're not in the Pac-12 anymore, but they're still considered a top 10 team. So I thought they had it. And then beating Baylor, I thought that was a really good weekend.
It was. The one thing that Butch, I almost said Bruce, Butch pointed to with the last 3 games that Auburn's played, and that includes Oregon State and Baylor, they've given up 10 runs in the final 3 innings combined of those 3 games. So he's really concerned with his bullpen and going in there and throwing strikes and making pitchers beat you, and not just giving up so many home runs and so many easy runs hit by pitches, walks, things like that are really hurting their bullpen at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know the SEC. I mean, come on. I'm sure Steve Palmer or somebody's going to say the SEC baseball league's not the best in the country.
Danny Cannell's going to say that. Danny Cannell's going to come out and say the ACC baseball is the best. Did you see Greg Sankey get back to him the other day? Did you see that?
I didn't hear about this. No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I've been calling him Danny dumbass. He's out there saying that the SEC is overrated in basketball, and
he's been saying it for 3. He's been thinking it for 3 months.
And think about me. We just talked about this. And Brian, I don't know if you know this. Do you know the last ranked team that Duke played? And I'm wearing Duke stuff on this camera. Ranked team they played.
I saw somebody mention on Twitter, but it's been like weeks, I believe. I don't remember exactly who it was.
It's the Auburn Tigers.
Oh, okay. Wow. Holy moly! I didn't realize. I didn't. Wow, that's bad. Yeah, that tells you how bad the ACC is, right?
It's horrendous. I mean, North Carolina's in 4th place, and Alabama played them a scrimmage over there in the Dean Dome. I mean, they're not any good. I mean, to me, they've got to beat Duke Saturday just to get in the tournament. I mean, I'm talking about the NCAA tournament. I mean, to me, they're a 3-bid league. We've already talked about it. Duke, Clemson, who lost in overtime to South Carolina at home.
Yeah.
And then Louisville. Everybody else stinks. I think SMU's in the top 5. So I guess just like football, they'll throw them in there. I mean, give me a break.
Hey, well, I'm still convinced South Carolina's a good basketball team. I don't care what the record is. I just seen them play enough to think they're a decent basketball team.
They'd be in the top 5 in the ACC.
Yes,
and they've had some losses this year that if the ball bounces their way just a tenth of an inch, they're Auburn. Yes, they're middle of the pack in the SEC.
Right. That's when Jonah got hurt.
Yep,
the first time.
They're tough.
Well, before we let you go, on Saturday, it's going to be electric. It's going to be emotional. What's the keys for Auburn to bounce back and get a win over Alabama and sweep them?
I think that, against Alabama, you have to just sell out on defense because they will stretch the floor. They can hit threes from anywhere. Mark Sears obviously is one of the best players in the country. So you have to play your tail off on defense to beat Alabama because they're just so good. And if they get openings, they will tear you apart from that 3-point line. So the key for Auburn will be to come out there and, set that tone early defensively, get after them again, and then get Janai going. They need that inside-out offense to start popping again.
Absolutely. Well, hey, by the way, you continue to sell Uncle Keith's red sauce. One of our producers already ordered some.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah, he's fired up. He's got some relatives down that way too. So we were telling him about Uncle Keith. So
we've been pimping it for you.
Yeah, I've had some on some sausage biscuits this week. So let everybody know how to follow your coverage for baseball this weekend, and of course the Iron Bowl of basketball, the rematch, and what you have going on at Auburn Sports.
That's right. Uncle Keith's sponsored my Monday Musings, and you can find them at Publix, Piggly Wiggly, Renfro statewide. Also use BMAT15 for 15% off an online order. Delicious homegrown right here in the state of Alabama. Give it a shot. I'll be at baseball tonight. I'll do the doubleheader baseball, basketball tomorrow. We'll have full coverage, auburnsports.com. And also March is bringing, visits, and recruiting is back for football and such. So we'll have plenty of updates on that. I know Auburn has one official visitor this weekend, although I couldn't tell you who it is because I'm too involved in baseball and basketball right now. But we got Caleb handling that for us.
Yeah, no doubt. We've had Caleb on many times. He does a great job. Appreciate you, Bryan. Have a great weekend, man.
Appreciate y'all. Take care.
All right, thanks, Bryan Mathews. Always good to not only talk to Bryan, but see Bryan.
He's sounding great, man.
He does, doesn't he? Looks good, sounds good. Let's get a break in. More Talking Ball when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like they've moved that wreck on the ramp coming off westbound 565 at Greenbrier. Everything's back open there. Got a wreck in Limestone County, Highway 99 in Chapman Hollow. Had a utility pole involved in that one. They had wires down on the ground, so I'm sure it's going to take a while to get it cleared up. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
I'm here with Stan McDonald of Jacob Title. Stan, I've heard that every real estate closing at Jacob Title is a very big deal. Why is that?
Wes, I'm reminded of a very impactful statement that I heard from Coach Gene Stallings years ago when he talked about big games and little games. He said he didn't like that comparison. He says, because try losing one of those little games. And if you ever do, it ends up being the biggest game all year long. Well, it's the same thing with real estate closings. Every game, every closing is a very big deal at Jacob Title, because when it's your closing and your contract on the line, it's a very big deal. And we understand that at Jacob Title.
So it sounds like whether your client is a first-time residential buyer or a multi-million-dollar investor, they can expect your A game.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, when you bring your real estate closing to us at Jacob Title, we understand it's all about trust and confidence. And when Stan McDonald tells you that a chicken dips snuff, you can look under his wing for the box.
And like Beams likes to say, there's no doubt about it.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I'm here to tell you it's truck month. No payments for 90 days on 24 and 25 models of F-150, Ranger, Maverick, Super Duty, and Lightning. We've got over 220 F-150s for you to choose from with generous finance rates and the best deals of the year on America's best-selling truck for 48 years in a row. Great deals on Bronco, Bronco Sport, Expedition, and Explorer 2. Come check those out. But right now at Woody Anderson Ford, you can drive a 2024 F-150 XLT Hybrid for as little as $339 a month. $339 for an F-150. That's a 36-month lease with 6448 due at signing, 0 security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. This offer ends 3/31/25. Call us at 539-9441 for complete details. Over 220 F-150s and nearly 50 Rangers and Maverick pickups to choose from, all with great sales incentives and 0 payments for 90 days. Woody Anderson Ford, we hope to see you soon.
We are your home for March Madness.
Hit the corner. James, right corner 3. Oh, it's a Tennessee blitz. The Volunteers dominating the Creighton Blue Jays in the second half.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Man. Somebody.
Could you help me place this call?
It's like we lost our girlfriend or wife or something. Good song though. It's a good song.
This is another one of those CDs you buy on Behind the Music, and you play 15 times to row a note. That's what I did back in the day.
You put that in your ears and you can just fall. You can gently fall asleep and just kind of relax a little bit.
The Roanoke, but still, it was enjoyable to listen to.
I have become very good at sleeping in those two little seats.
I'm sure you have. There you go.
Well, because you get two seats, and so you can stretch out to the, across the seat across from you. So, I mean, you can make it work. Oh, as if I need this. Let's go out to the phone lines and visit with Jeff.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey, guys, I just want to say I didn't know Lisbon when I saw score last night.
Yeah.
They were down with less than a minute to go, so I didn't know they'd come back. But
they come back and win in overtime.
I didn't know they won. But I also said about all this net business. The reason why Kentucky is projected 3 seed is because they beat Duke on a neutral court, Gonzaga on a neutral court, Tennessee twice, and Florida. All those teams are right ahead of them in the net. Kentucky's 13 in the net right now. That's why. That's why they're 3. They're not going to be a 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever.
No. We've actually been defending Kentucky this morning.
No, the Kentucky's floor would probably be a 4 or a 5. They're not going to be a 6 or a 7.
Well, you said they should have been a 6 yesterday. Now they'll be a 6. That's what you said.
Did you say that?
I don't remember
You
saying
think
they
they
should be a 6.
You said I think that'll be a 6 seed yesterday.
Well,
they should be a 3 or 4.
I thought I don't think they should be a 3. I said I
You said they thought they
I
should
think
be
I
a
said
6.
4 through 6. The 4 through 6
Go back
line.
go back and pre-queue up the tape. We'll see.
They shouldn't be a 3,
Go back
okay?
and put up.
They shouldn't be a 3. They should be a 4 through a 6 is what I said. But more, I would say the high part with a 4 if they don't fall on their ass Saturday. I think they will. I think they're gonna win, and they probably will win a game in Nashville on Thursday.
They've already signed the deal to play Gonzaga in December in Nashville, the Bridgestone Arena. It'll be the first regular season game they've ever played in there. They're going to play Gonzaga on a neutral court. They've already signed, sealed, delivered.
They're always going to play a tough out-of-conference schedule. They're never going to play a sad sack schedule. They're always going to play
signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. That's right. It's already signed, Dave. We got our schedule next year already started with. I wonder when the SEC is going to do a basketball release schedule. Maybe 2055. They might do it then. They care about basketball. They might do it. If Greg Sankey can get off his butt with that 2-headed corn, he'd be flipping 2-headed corn.
But I would say this. I said 4 through 6. Now, if Kentucky were to lose Saturday and then lose in Nashville, I think I could make a strong argument to be a 6. But I don't think they will. Certainly it stinks they're not going to have Jackson Robinson. Because
they ain't going to have Chris either, and but Jackson Robinson could have had surgery a while ago.
Yeah,
but he wanted to play. He wanted to play so bad.
Yeah, and Chris has been gone.
And he's just that. Well, Chris is going to get a medical red shirt.
Yeah, he'll come back, but
red shirt. I want to say one final thing too. Feeding Samaro, he's had 3 offers in the off season: assistant at Louisville, assistant in North Carolina with Belichick, and he just turned down the interview for the Bowling Green job, and he just turned that down too. So he's going to be back in Kentucky in 2025 on Mark Stoops' staff. So you can't get Vince. He's pretty much the big dog. They say if you want some controversy in media days, you get him up there talking. Maybe you'll have some. You want some, because he won't put up with you people.
Well, we don't
put up with us people.
I don't really think Kentucky's going to be a big deal at SEC media days, and that's if they were 4-8.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
If you want
put up with us
they
people.
Did knock Ole Miss out of the playoff. That's pretty much. Hang up the phone on this guy.
I just want to know what he means by putting up with us people.
Look, he's the worst caller on our show. Okay, you're talking about us people. Nobody likes this
people.
Prick.
Putting up with us people.
The guy's a prick. If he showed up at a restaurant, people would dunk but if they all found out it was Jeff from the borough, they would all take a pitcher of water and pour it on him. Nobody would, they'd kick him out of the restaurant.
Or some gravy or something.
Good Lord.
You said Don? All right, let's go out there with Don next. Good morning, Don. You're with us. You're with us people, Don.
Okay. Hey, so you're with me? I'm with you.
Yeah. You're with us, man.
Hey, got a real quick question for you.
Sure.
Because you're media, and you may have heard this or not heard this. Is there any talk yet, if there isn't going to be talk, period, about moving the SEC tournament from leaving it in Nashville, but move it from Bridgestone to the new Titan Stadium when it gets built, because it'll seat, I think, 60,000. It's a dome stadium, and that would certainly allow a lot more people.
No, there hasn't been any conversation with that. The only thing that they want to do is host the college football playoffs, the Super Bowl,
the Final Four,
and the Final Four. Yes,
thing like that. But I don't think they'll ever move the SEC tournament over there, because you're not. I'll be honest, because look, if say on Wednesday, I know now there's going to be more games and things of that nature, but I think if you draw 12 to 15,000 in an arena like that, you've got 60,000 seats, it's going to look awful. I don't think they're
part of the lure and part of what has made the SEC basketball tournament so good is playing it inside Bridgestone.
Right.
Well, I just think that, you know how Kentucky fans are. And if Kentucky's in it, I saw it. I'm old enough that I've seen it back when it was at the Georgia Dome.
Yep.
In fact, I was there for the Hurricane, for the tornado game. But that's in here or there. But that was a huge arena. But yet they always had good crowds there, and always seemed to, for the big games, filled it up. Filled up what seats that they were allotted, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I just thought, it would allow a lot more fans to be able to get in there and see the games. You're not moving, you're not moving it from the city. You're not moving it, all you're really doing is sort of moving across the river. And they got a fan walkway across the river. So that's just the reason I asked that question. So
yes, sir. I would say no, but that's just my opinion.
Yep.
On that. Appreciate it, Don. Thank you. Have a great
all
weekend.
right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I know that venue is going to be beautiful. It's going to be nice, but that makes no sense to do it for the SEC basketball tournament because, number one,
and then I'm going to say this league has become very, very tough.
Yes.
What if Kentucky gets beat?
Right.
And you don't have the big blue nation traveling from everywhere.
I just don't see, unless outside of a national championship game, I just don't see SEC fans going in 60, 70,000 strong for that.
I covered the SEC tournament championship a couple of years ago that Alabama won over Texas A&M.
Right.
And it was, I'd say 75% Alabama fans, but it was nearly a full arena. There's nothing like it, Scott. There's nothing like, and I like Bridgestone because the fans are right on top of you.
Yeah.
It's a great venue. There's nothing like a full arena. If you do now, of course, if there were 60,000 fans, oh my God, it'd be so loud. But I still say Bridgestone is just intimate enough, like with 14,000 seats or whatever. When that place is full, and it's a bowl, so it's right on. It's great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I think is it's helping make the SEC basketball tournament. Because remember when they went down to Tampa and St. Pete? Oh my gosh, it was awful. St. Louis was awful.
Brutal.
Yeah. Bridgestone is part of what is making that tournament great.
And it's easy to get to,
Yes, and it's right there. And I get it. The new one is across the river. You still have all the feel. I don't know, though. Yeah. It's something about, the Georgia Dome was good, but the bad thing about the Georgia Dome is when you played in there, it was still partitioned off.
Yeah.
And so even though you were inside the Georgia Dome, you just was cavernous. It didn't have the same kind of feel to it.
No, and I remember the tornado game he's talking about back in the early 2000s. It was, and thank God, people were okay, and they were inside having to watch that overtime game with Alabama and Mikael Riley hitting that big shot. But yeah, I never covered the tournament over there. But
I did several times. Yes.
Yeah. I think Bridgestone is the perfect location.
Yep. And I remember going over there because we would stay there for either Alabama and Auburn, depending on how far their run was. So when you left, you made sure you packed for the amount of days that you thought the whole tournament would last, because you didn't know if you were going to be over there for a day,
or
2 days, or 3 days. And so you always packed for the whole entire tenure. And one year, I think it was Auburn that made the run all the way over there to the finals.
Yeah, KT Harrell in there.
Yep. And we were there for that whole.
They weren't very good, but they got hot.
And we were over there for that whole entire thing. All right. Got to get a break in. When we come back, we'll talk some basketball. The Alabama Community College Conference Basketball Championships are ongoing over at Spraggins Hall. That's a lot to say. We'll thin it all down next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like they've moved that wreck on the ramp coming off westbound 565 at Greenbrier. Everything's back open there. We've got a wreck in Limestone County, Highway 99 in Chapman Hollow. Had a utility pole involved in that one. They had wires down on the ground, so I'm sure it's going to take a while to get it cleared up. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Insulation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
At Wheelchairs for Warriors, serving America's heroes is our mission. With your support, we serve veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty across the United States of America, providing them custom-fit, complex rehab mobility solutions to ensure they rejoin their lives at the highest level of independent mobility and function possible. Join the mission at wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You'll be set for life.
Welcome back. Talking about 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And in case you didn't know, and for those, there's a lot that didn't, the Alabama Community College Conference basketball tournament is ongoing at Spraggins Hall. I tell you what, yesterday, Calhoun, both men and women played. And for the men's game against Bishop State last night at 6 o'clock,
right,
the crowd that was there for that game pretty much filled up the entire lower section of Spraggins Hall. And then there was a spattering of fans in the upper deck last night. So there was a good, decent-sized crowd for those games. Unfortunately, the Calhoun men fall to Bishop State, but the Calhoun women did get a win over Coastal Alabama yesterday. So they will play today at noon against Wallace State women. And then coming up after that at 2, Shelton State. They have an unbelievable win streak in the conference going on. They're the number 1 seed. They'll play. And then you have Southern Union men at 4. They will take on Bishop State. But the number 1 seed in the men's side is the Wallace State men, and they will take on Lawson State, who got by Gadsden State last night inside Spraggins Hall. So there's some future Division I players playing, some future Division II, some future Division III, and some NAIA guys definitely on display this weekend.
No question about that, man. And it's an exciting time. And our next guest had a long tenure at Hartselle High School. Before that, at Arab, he built two very unique cultures before deciding to make this move to replace our friend Alan Sharp, who has now done a remarkable job with the UAH women. And I don't know if did they announce the Women's Coach of the Year in the GSC? Did he win it?
No, so they haven't announced it yet. We announced the men's player of the year and the men's coach of the year, and that came from Bishop State.
Yeah, that was, and I was surprised that our next guest didn't win that award because he's in his first year at Wallace State. He won the regular season Northern Championship, and they're the number 1 seed overall in this tournament. He won the regular season title. He did a great job of building that Hartselle program back into a perennial regional and Final Four contender. Our good friend Brody Peebles, who joined us last year before, going from Liberty to Belmont, he was one of the greatest players in Hartselle history under our next guest. And before that, he did a great job at Arab and now is doing a spectacular job on the college level. And we're talking about Faron Key, and he's been kind enough to join us before their semifinal game later today against Lawson State. And we're going to talk some Alabama Junior College basketball in the Alabama Community College Conference this morning on Talkin' Ball. Coach, it's great to have you. I know we've had you in the past when you were with Hartselle, but it's great to have you once again as you've made this next step. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
We're really good. Coach, kind of walk us through this. I remember I was a little surprised when I saw this move last year when you took this job. I thought you'd done remarkable things at Hartselle, had it rolling. I know you did a great job at Arab. What kind of went into your mind to make the jump to the college level and give this a shot and try and keep Wallace, because Wallace has a great tradition of making it to Hutch and going to and competing for championships. So what made you decide to make the move to Wallace State?
Yeah, look, there's probably a lot in that answer, but my age has a lot to do with it. 47, graduated my last child last year, so all 4 of my children are out of the house, and
right.
the moves you make when you're a father affect everybody in your family. And it was an opportunity. I live in Coleman and have for most of my life, and I played here. It was something that when I was 20 years old, I wanted to be a college coach. We had a child at 21. It kind of changed the direction. You go for the money and the safe bet. But it was an opportunity, and we had it's a hometown school for us. I've always followed and appreciated Wallace State basketball. Just an opportunity to challenge myself and help out my school.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at junior college basketball, it's a little bit different than the NAIA junior or NCAA level, but it's kind of similar to high school, because for a lot of these kids, this is that next step to develop to either try to go somewhere else. So you still have a chance to teach the game. You still have a chance to develop young kids and get them to where they want to go, but also teach them to be better people as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I think the most challenging thing with junior college basketball compared to, the jobs that I've done before, it's been, you build the culture, you start teaching your program, your system as young as you can, 5th grade and up, things like that. And you graduate good players, you plug one in that knows the system, that has been there, and you've got a relationship with prior to. This has been more, a lot of these guys we didn't even meet till, July, August, and, we got in this job kind of late and had to really scramble to recruit, and we found the right pieces that we wanted to coach. And, so from that end of it, you're not wrong. And then the kids that we have that have opportunities, and there'll be other kids on our squad that have the opportunity to move on. One of the first conversations that coaches are having with you are not how many points they're averaging per game and things. They can see all of that. They can watch you on Synergy. It's what kind of people are they? And, do they go to class? And, those are things that are really important. I do think that it's part of our responsibility to make sure that we develop that here.
And then how did you approach it? Because we know it's a tumultuous time in collegiate athletics, transfer portal, NIL, all that. But I would think there's a lot of kids, especially on the high school level, to me, that are really good players that can play college basketball that maybe are being pushed down. And what I mean by that is they're not getting the opportunities that maybe they would have get if this was a normal time in collegiate athletics. But so many coaches on the college level are looking for into the transfer portal. I would think maybe you'd have a chance at getting some really good players that are getting overlooked that you could maybe develop at a Wallace State.
Yeah, I think it's different, because kids are a lot of, let's say they're really good high school players now and we have a few that we've, been recruiting for a little while, but they're not ready yet to make a decision and sort of settle for JUCO. They're still sort of waiting on the one Division I or Division II offer. It might come their way. And so you got to be really patient here. If you're going to recruit, you have to be patient at this level. If you jump too fast, you can lose recruits and they're just not ready to make decisions. So you have to be willing to sign kids well into the summer and kind of let them go through their process with their families and things like that. We signed here. We only have, I told someone this before, but I felt that it was important with my first year here. I wanted to make sure that we were a bit older. And so we took transfers ourselves. We signed 3 true high school players that played on the high school court last year. But again, having gotten into the job after May 27, you kind of got what was left, so to speak. I mean, I literally had a list as I was preparing to come and interview. I had a list of guys that I knew were available because I'd been in the high school game for so long. And one at a time, they're committing to other places and signing literally the week before I got the job. So, I thought we did a nice job, at least with that. But in terms of what you're saying with recruiting, you see that a lot. I mean, it feels like the 4-year programs are, yes, looking in the portal, but it seems this year they're really looking at JUCO first and then get to the portal because the portal will open later.
Right.
So they're looking at us first and then looking into the portal.
Yeah. And that's the thing. College athletics is evolving and changing. There's so many different windows now with all of these different things that are going on in the college world. And that's the thing we've been hearing is that, sometimes it's the high school kids that might end up on the short end of being recruited because now these JUCO kids, your junior college kids, now you go play a year there. You got a little bit more of a development. They've got a year going in college. And lots of times the college coaches are going to look at them because they've already played a year.
No doubt. I think that's important, and again, part of what you try to do here is to develop the type of day-to-day routines for your players that allow them to improve. And, it's something they can carry to that next level, but learning how to be a college player and how to be a college student. And there's something to that. There's, I've heard coaches even tell me like dealing with an 18-year-old is much different than dealing with 20-year-old in terms of maturity, how they handle not playing or, not playing well or how they handle hard coaching. And, that's all true, but again, it's all teachable things. And I think you're going to see more and more high school kids. To your point, I think you'll see more high school kids having junior college on the list as an option because, you got kids now that are taking Division III scholarships that have nothing else or Division II scholarships and not getting to play.
Right.
And then they're jumping in the portal and just having played a year of college ball, and forget the numbers, having played a year of college ball, whether they started or didn't play, they look more attractive than the high school kid to a lot of the schools.
And now later today, you're going to take on Lawson State. You swept them during the regular season, Coach. Y'all are 24-5 going in, but the old adage in coaching, I've heard this many, many times. It's very hard to beat a good team 3 times. A lot of times teams change a lot. Basketball is a long journey, and teams can get healthier, maybe figure some things out. Talk about your squad first and foremost, and then playing Lawson State for a third time.
Yeah, this is my 22nd year of coaching. We've probably faced a scenario like this, I don't know, a lot, 20 plus times. And where you got to beat a team. They're good. I think everybody that's left in your conference tournament, like this time of year, you'll see it next week with the SEC, and you're playing well or you're not, and that's just the only two ways you can go about it. And I've seen really good teams go the wrong way at the end of the year. I've seen poor teams really play well at the right time, and so in terms of that, it's we preach it's their habits and our principles that are the most important thing. And so tonight and tomorrow, it really comes down to how hard do you play, and do you win those 50-50s? Do you get on the glass? Do you take care of the basketball and really manage your emotions through a tournament? The highs and the lows that go with it, respond properly. So yeah, playing them for a third time, they're tough, they're physical. They're going to really try to grind us down in the paint, and we don't really play that way. So it's a contrasting style.
Mm-hmm. Well, when it all comes down to it, basketball is a simple game. Ball goes in the basket, things happen. But there's the fundamental things that can help you, especially in tournament time. And I saw it yesterday. Several teams. I mean, Coach, it's all about making your free throws and not turning the ball over.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, like I said, it's a contrast of styles. We're sixth in the country in scoring. We're first in the country in threes made, first in the country in threes attempted. We're 17th in the country in offensive rebounding. We're 7th in efficiency. Our defensive numbers have improved through the year. Lawson grind, and they have the ability to get out in transition. They have some dynamic athletes, but they score around 71, 72 a game. And again, they want the game to be a bit more physical. So what happens then is everything comes back to you're talking about, the fundamentals of the game. Make your free throws. I saw the same games you saw. You make your free throws, take care of the ball. I watched the game yesterday there at the tournament that probably had 8 turnovers in under 2.5 minutes by both teams combined. And I wonder who wants to win, So kids get nervous. I think that's the other deal. Like when you're talking about, how do you develop players for this level, for the next level? Teach them to take care of the basketball late in the game. That there's a lot of coaches sitting behind us recruiting last night, and I can hear them gasp every time they start to like a kid and he takes off and goes too fast and turns it over 3 times in a row, and it's difficult to overcome your poor fundamentals.
Well, and Coach, I know you played a free flowing style. I always enjoyed watching Hartsel. You guys pressured the basketball. When you went to Wallace, I know you have to kind of adapt to your personnel. Is that the same kind of free flow? Stylistically, I have to admit, I haven't seen you play. Did you try to implement the same kind of system at Wallace, or do you have to? Are you going to have to year to year kind of adapt to your personnel depending on who's available and who you sign?
Well, I'll let you know in a few years. No, we've adopted. I wanted to play fast. I wanted to spread it out.
Right.
So having the opportunity, in a high school setting, I coached what walked through my door every day. And some years that looked, really small. Some years we were big. Some years we had great scoring. Some years we didn't. So you adjusted your scheme around what you have. Here, with the opportunity to recruit, we're trying to be different than every other junior college team. And that's not knocking it, but we want to be more than just a team that can run fast and jump high. We want to have some skill and some IQ and be able to, truly win on purpose and know how we did it and have a system in place. I hired a really good assistant that was out with Bryan Hodgson at Arkansas State the last couple of years. He's been in charge of our offense this year. So everything we do is the same as what you see at Alabama and in the NBA and Florida, Auburn. All of them's got wrinkles that you'll see a lot of the similar actions. And again, going back to, it's just analytics basketball, really. Take the best possible shot and then let's go chase it and try to get it back if we miss it.
Well, we're looking forward tonight to see a show. It'll be, I believe, 6 o'clock over at Sprague & Saul at UAH. It'll be the semifinals, Lawson State and Wallace State. Congrats on the success of year one, Coach. You've done a great job in North Alabama, both at Arab, Hartsel, and now. But we could wish you continued success, and we appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to join us this morning.
Listen, I appreciate you people and your opinions. I was just trying hard to not be the worst call of the day.
No, sir. Far from that.
Well, yeah. You don't ever have to worry about that.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We've got other imbeciles for that.
Yeah. Meta muffins.
You said
I said 4 through 6. I didn't say 6. But if they lost out the last 2 games, hell,
Well,
I'd
you
drop
said
them to
3.
6.
You said 3.
Oh, shoot. Give me.
You wanted to say it there. Let's get a break in.
I said 4 through.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience.
Well, that's because we're done.
Yeah, it means we're done.
I mean,
everybody enjoy your weekend. We got the eyeball of basketball, the rematch on 97.7 The Zone tomorrow.
I'm just disappointed you're not going down there to watch it.
Well, 12:30 pregame, and then 1:30 it'll start. Gonna have to brace myself for this, and we'll see which Alabama team shows up. Are they man enough to compete?
Well, like we said, that's been the biggest X factor with Alabama. It's
Bryan
they have
Mathews said
all of
them
the
would be ready.
talent in the world. It's just which one actually will get
Are they
off
gonna
the
be
bus.
the 3 or the 4 in Nashville? They'll decide that on Saturday.
All right, guys, we're back at it Monday morning.
You're gone though.
I'm
right?
gone. I'm gone all next week.
Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to